That's what happens when you're trying to run a boutique and do a podcast, the Real and Raw Route 37 podcast way. Woo-hoo-hoo! Thanks for being here. I know, right? Yeah, I probably should wrap it up because I got a lot to do and I don't want to. But we were talking about, there's so many women out. I mean, oh my God. And you just nailed it when you had said, when you go to somebody's profile picture and you can I can't stand that thirsty energy. Like, God damn, bitch, you ain't got to show, I mean, really, all that. But then, whatever. Some people could say the same thing about me eating an apple. I don't fucking know. But I know my madness is not, I'm the audience. Clearly nobody's watching me. That's why I'll post stupid shit. Like, I'll see, because I'm constantly setting traps all the time to see who is truly watching me. And I talked about how on my business page, a dude did not, well, it wasn't his fault, but Apple Pay and Square did not link up to give me my payment, so I lost $133. Damned if that isn't my number one post out of almost 2 years of business. The people love or are paying attention, thousands, I think it's up to 12,000, my post about being ripped off. Exactly.
Really?
Exactly my heart space, that long pause. Yeah, really, John.
Wow.
Yeah. So if that says anything, and I know the people, y'all, here's the thing. Y'all that hate me, that are listening to this podcast, just trust and believe I know you're fucking here. Y'all that say that you're not listening, you're giving yourself away quite a bit, just so you know. Even energetically, even if I don't know, even if you live an ocean away, if you were to tell me you're not listening, some of y'all, I know you're listening. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Because this is the real deal. And John, I think we've never met in person, but I think you can pretty much attest that I am the real deal, and I'm like this in real life.
You absolutely are the real deal. But I mean,
so are you.
That's why we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking because you are real, and that's rare.
Exactly. That's the part that breaks my heart.
That's special. Yeah.
That's the part that breaks my heart. You can't get reciprocation if you are one of the ones that are in the rarity.
Yeah. You just can't.
No. Well, you can. You reciprocate, John. Even if we were to sit in a room and didn't say one fucking word together, I would feel your reciprocation of heart. You wouldn't even be able to hide it from me.
I'm the same. You know what I mean? And I've told you that when we first got talking. I was like, you'll see. And I think now you know.
No, I do know. And thank you for the grace of allowing me to come to that trust determination on my own. And you've never once forced it to be anything other than it is.
I told you from the beginning, I'm just here. I'm here to help, and
I think
I'm just here to be a part of you as much as you allow.
Right. I think for the longest time, though, when we first started talking, I think my reply to all that was, "Yeah, I've heard that before," or "Yeah."
Yeah, because you don't trust, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I remember, you was waiting to see when I was going to ask for money or something, I'm just not.
I still feel like you're waiting for me to ask for money. Isn't that funny? And here's the thing. Here's the thing, peeps. John has offered to help me financially. And
you don't got to say all that.
No, I know, but what's been my reply?
No.
Yeah. So I ain't.
No, because you're too damn prideful, and
that must be my Scorpio moon. Takes one to know one.
Well, and that's the way you was raised, and I totally get it. I'm the same way. I wish. Well.
And I get lambasted for not being able to ask for help. Somebody, Barry, if you're listening, Barry, I think you listen, Barry W. He had said to me, and I know that he must genuinely watch my comments, but and clearly have mentioned, I don't hide that I struggle with asking for help. It's a trauma response. I'm aware of it.
That's an ego thing. That's
right.
all that is.
Right, and I'm aware of it. But he had...
Yeah, there you go. That's the key.
Yeah, and he showed up in my inbox with the most compelling advice, and I have not enacted on it, but it just made me feel so like, wow, this dude gets it. Like, he's been in my position of having to ask for help. But he had said, and you're my person, that's why I say this, he's like, ask somebody, when you need help, ask somebody that you're comfortable and feel safe with. But don't have an expectation of what the answer is. And right away, my envisionment of the scenario was, if I ever called in that favor with John, like, honey, I'm hurting, can I borrow some money? And whether you said yes or no, you would be my building block, foundation of, well, I'll have to ask somebody else. I know you would, and that's exactly why I don't ask you, John.
If you'll remember, I told you, when I said to you what my mama said to me growing up, but that's why my mama was my person. I mean, she's the reason I am is because she was, or that's just the truth. Mm-hmm. And she said, son, as long as I got a biscuit, you got a half. You got a half a biscuit. And I know if I went to her and I was like, well, Mama, I'm fucking fat and I really want all the biscuit, Mama would give me all of her biscuit. Mm-hmm. Even though she's hungry, and even though she would really like that biscuit because she made the best damn biscuits in the world, she would still give me her whole biscuit. But, I always knew that, well, if Mama's around, I got a half a biscuit. And as long as I'm around, you got a half a biscuit.
I love you, John.
And that's the truth.
I know it is. I know it is. And I trust. And here's the best part, John. I trust that it is. But I still won't ask for help unless I absolutely need it. Because, I know. But I feel like...
biscuits. Why not do that shit?
I
want a biscuit now.
Well, I had to. Don't even get me going.
I know. We've talked about our damn, our sex drive for bread, and I mean, man, my
carbs.
I could really fuck some bread. I mean, I could make. Well, I'd make love to bread.
Oh no, I have too. Like, and then I get pissed because.
I'll just be honest. I have literally I've made love, and I raw fuck bread too. Cornbread, man. Cornbread could be my bitch, that's for
sure. Well, y'all in the South can keep that shit. I'll take me a good old piece of garlic bread, that's for sure. Or homemade sourdough. Remember when our moms used to make bread and just slathered that melted butter bread? But bread don't even taste like that anymore. Unless you get somebody that's baking bread. And I would love to be that bitch, but I ain't got time to be baking no fucking bread.
Mama would make biscuits, man, and I could sit there and eat tea and biscuits. Mm-hmm. God, I mean, I could just give me a big glass of sweet. Hell, I still do. Mm-hmm. I love it. But damn, man, biscuits and cornbread has put so many men and women in the grave.
No, yeah. Well, not just that. It's so funny. I'd mentioned to you in one of my podcast recordings by myself. No, it wasn't a podcast recording. It was a reel of me eating an apple. And I said, Alabama John asked me if I was ever going to eat French fries on camera.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it. Just back off. I'm working on it. But hey, you got to admit, just me eating with my mouth open and all that shit is a nice little classy mockery of all these fat bitches that are getting paid to. I don't even know how much money do you even spend on a fucking triple fish fillet? I've never had one in my fucking life. It just blows my mind. And then again, it circles back to when you were saying people that have that many followers. I mean, is this even real? I mean, is this for real?
Have you seen, I know you've seen them, they was skinny, and they were both vegan.
Yes!
And they started out, very healthy.
Are you talking about the chick with black hair with the bangs?
Yeah. And the motherfucker gets on there and cries like hell,
And he's a little on the feminine side. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he, I know he was vegan, but he liked,
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was vegan and started eating meat. But you can literally, so in my research,
they're fucking huge.
No, I know. And in my energetic research, because I watch that stuff to watch myself and I'm the observer of myself, so I can write about how that triggers fat girl, or I'm like, what? What is the fascination? But I'm the one sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, and then there's a part of me that's embarrassed for them, and then there's a part of me that is like, oh, honey, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what
that's
are you
doing? My heart goes out to them, but they that's what they want. They did it to themselves, but I still think you got to have some kind of mental. I guarantee you, if we sat and talked, they've got some childhood shit that they're still dealing with, you know what I mean? That they don't know. I don't think they.
I watch.
Fucking eat, whatever makes you happy, whatever serves you, fucking teeth all over dead. I mean,
and this is so funny. This is for the other Nellie Olsons that are listening in secret, because if you think I don't know, I do. So I will have women that I went to school with, John, here in this little tiny community, which is in Grand Rapids. It's a big city, but Walker Standale is a little suburb of that.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and I'll have grown ass women walk into my store and be like, "Where do I know you from?"
Yeah.
Scratching their heads.
Good damn well they know you.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Look, bitch, you remember how you made me? I don't know, not want to live." Oh, I don't know. All through 8th grade, 7th grade. Tracy Overbeek and Katie Greenidge, if you're listening, look at us now, bitches. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
It really is.
It truly is. And look at me here. I'm still pretty. Mm-hmm. Yep. It blows my mind. Blows my fucking mind. And I was writing the other day, how much grace I gave even those bullies back in school. And this is when I really wanted to believe in Jesus, like they'll be forgiven, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would watch, I always knew, no, it's gonna come around one day, and the good Lord, the universe, or whoever the fuck is gonna allow me to see it. And I'm going to see it, all right. And I see it. And I'm grateful that I have got to see it in real time before I died. And that's for sure. I didn't have to come back as a ghost to do a little haunting here and there. That I got to, be able to. And I'm glad, if I had to have a trauma from childhood, I guess fat girl shit's not so bad, nobody fiddled with my diddle. My dad didn't fucking touch me. There definitely would have been worse things, so I definitely give a lot of
praise. And you know what, Jen, you just hit it. It could always be worse, and I mean, I'm fortunate to be the man that I am because I took all my shit that I was dealt with and turned it around, to make it to my positive.
And it shows.
I'm the man that I am because of my experiences, and I know that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I could be like everybody else, or the majority of people, and you could be too. Well, I had a really shitty upbringing, I was
so
beat.
What?
And if you ever meet me in person, you'll see the scars. I got scars to prove I was fucking beat. But I didn't let that define who I was for being a shitty person, you know what I mean?
I do.
Oh, well, I was a victim, victim. That's what my baby mama does. She loves that shit. Oh, God, she takes a bath in it. She loves to be the victim. I don't. Fuck that.
I had
ain't gonna be your victim.
I had a dude
that's
ask
what I love
me
about you. You truly, you know what it is to be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't damn run around and wave no flag like I was victimized. You know what I mean? And I love that about you, and I love that about other people that just admit their shit.
Mm-hmm.
They had it. Yeah, it was a shitty time, but I made it through it.
Right. I still bloom through that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Still.
Exactly.
And if I didn't bloom, I was tripping off the shrooms that grew in that shit.
Well, I watched my parents growing up, and they showed me everything that I did not want to be, and that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I became, I still work at that. I don't want to be the parents that I had, and I'm not going to be that way.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
I catch myself, I'm just like my daddy in ways.
Yeah, I was going to
say. That's the truth, man.
It's weird that...
And it is.
It's weird that it in some ways is imprinted. We can say it all that we want. There are certain traits of my father. They're definitely there. There are parts of me, and my mother... My mother was a saint, man. And I hate that I'm mad at her in some ways that she didn't stick up for herself, and sainthood to her meant the level of shit she would take, as a badge of honor. And that too is ego, oddly enough. And how they, my father, the one thing that I think salvaged anything I could see, and my father knew that and even in his disdainment of me, I think the reason why my father was intimidated by me is because he knew I seen his heart. And like myself, who tries to hide that fucking thing, more than not, my dad, I can't even imagine being a male in this environment, but my dad, because of his upbringing, not unlike yours, you weren't allowed to show that you had any sort of heart, even if you had, daughters, it was, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
And,
I could tell, and one day we may talk about it if you want to know. I'll tell you the shit that I had to experience.
I would love that, John.
You'll be like, what the fuck? How? You'll be even wondering why, sometimes, I know. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised I'm not, doing life in prison. I'm just, it just the way.
If you think for 1 minute, John, that I have not peeped your inner dark, you are sadly mistaken. That I have, and I love you anyway. Why? Because I was placed in this realm. I am capable of loving monsters, whether they're bored about it, whether they keep it in check, whatever. I got my own monster I love. Devil, whatever you call it.
The whole time I was in ministry, I thought that the whole time.
I can
relatable. I'd say, but the greatest thing that's why the most greatest and most powerfulest day of my life is whenever I realized, and it just, man, I felt it physically, every fiber of my being, let's put it that way, realized and connected with that ultimate truth. And you'll never ever be able to take that from me. Nobody can.
I love that.
I realized I am God. I am God, and I am Satan. I am both. We are all two wolves. One that is fed and one that is starving, and they're both inside of us, constantly fighting. And that's the truth.
No, I totally, I agree, 100%. And that's why, energetically, you've never once forced me to peep you. I want to be clear about that. But there are levels of my particular trust that I trust my more energetic intuition side than I do.
Yes, and that's wisdom.
And I've told you before that I'm afraid of some of my own powers that I won't even, touch upon.
And I totally respect that. Totally. And I know you're telling the truth.
And I appreciate.
See, that's what's so beautiful about that, Jim. You know you got that Lilith, that darkness inside of you. You know it. But you choose to bring out the light.
Yep.
And that's what you choose. But now you can. And it just depends on who's around. Which one of that,
right.
part, which part of that are they going to get from you?
And it's so odd that that my father would try to hammer in my head that being in touch with the knowing, because he was an angry man, being in touch with, that knowing. I think that probably scared him more than anything, but I think my capability in years too to still be able to love somebody after seeing that they're a monster.
Oh yeah.
I'm honest with myself. I'm disturbed by it.
I love my daddy. All I ever wanted was a hug and him to say, I love you or I'm proud of you, but I never got that.
Oh never. My God. So here's the thing. Well, I had the total opposite, John, where I had a father, and grew up with a razor strap in our bathroom, where I would watch I watched, and this is the part that really is still tough as a grown-ass woman, was, or especially when my dad would make us hug for us, or, hug him after I watched him beat my brother bloody, we love in this house. And, I was like, the hypocrisy of what my dad's version of love, and, what, he taught us both sides of it. And I didn't appreciate it then like I do now, but I would watch.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I had to love both sides of my father. The one that was a complete fucking angry train wreck who despised himself, that was sexually stunted for whatever happened to him in his, mommy and daddy didn't hug me enough life before us.
Yeah. He probably grew up with a really, your
well, my dad had a fucked up life. Yeah,
He was probably tough as nails. And had a fucked up upbringing.
But at the same time, watching and having to still hug my father and say I love you after seeing full well that he had tied my brother to a tree. I didn't even whip him with a whip, or whatever the case may be as a kid that I blocked out. But all I knew on my dad's deathbed, he was happy as shit to know. My dad never fucking touched me. And the reason my dad never fucking touched me, other than I could see he wanted to hurt me real bad, especially when we were debating Jesus and Santa, and I would get that evil look like, get her away from me. My dad never fucking touched me. And if he did, I blocked it out. But on his deathbed, I'm like, Dad, you never spanked me. I watched him beat my sister's ass at the age of 23 when she told him she was pregnant out of wedlock. That Milky Way went flying across the fucking yard, My dad never touched me. And to watch his face light up just before he died, and that's when he said, Snookums, my way wasn't the only way. And I wanted to say, well, duh, Dad. But, I know, Dad. Because we did not from the get. And and here's the thing, I wanted to believe in that fucking stupid ass story of Jesus. I wanted to.
But you know what sucks about that, Jen? It takes him to get out, like so many people, it takes you to get on your deathbed to realize.
Exactly.
I've lived a life, I've fucked everything up. I really am that Satan that I didn't say was real or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I wish my dad would have picked my brain a little more. Instead of telling my mom in the kitchen, I think she's the spawn of Satan. I grew up thinking that obviously I am. I am my father's daughter. Clearly.
I totally get that. And I see, and I really connect with kids that experience, because look, if you're told you're something, I don't give a damn what it is, negative or positive, eventually you're going to believe it.
Yeah, that's how the brain works.
Something negative about themselves, like, me being a metalhead in a small town, I always wearing Metallica shirts and Slayer shirts. Well, you're a Satanist. You're a Satanist. And then when you got your family saying the same thing, and then actually physically trying to cast the devil out of you, then finally you become what everybody already labels you as, and you're like, well, fuck it, I might as well be this. You know what I mean? And you know,
oh, I know. I would do
so many things we experience because of the emotions that people put us through that we don't know how to connect with, feel, and let them go. We don't know how to do that.
No, because they've taught fear or set a frequency for us with a, you know, and we gave them our consent. That's the most fucked up part. You know, but we can rewire our brain because that memory thing is, you know, it's a beautiful thing, the brain. You know, it can rewire itself and rethink and do all sorts of fun things. Thank goodness for that, right? Because it's a computer. I mean, it's a program. It's a computer. Ding, 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 ding. Are we getting any lights on, people? And eternal life, here's the thing.
Well,
eternal life is memory. Eternal life is memory.
You know what I mean? We can't even admit chakras are real. We can't even get
I can. So, and I mean, so, you know, I can. Yeah, no.
You can.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, we could go. Yeah, we could go. Well, that's a whole different podcast episode, John. Let's not waste the good stuff on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah,
I'm here in the mudlick world. You know, I'm in the ball sack of God, and you know, in the Bible Belt, and I know about chakras. But
all right, here's the thing.
Nobody around here knows about damn chakras.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair assessment. But let's back up to the music thing, John. You were talking about, and you're only a little bit younger than me, so I had to in that era because we had the hair bands, Satan. I definitely would do things to get the goat of my father. Like I would bring a book home, and I don't know. The title of it was "Say You Love Satan." It was a true story about these kids in New York. And I would do book reports.
I had a Marilyn Manson shirt.
Right, and I would express myself through, I don't know, some sort of like journalism of sorts and research even back then. But I would do certain shit like that to get my dad mad. I don't know, Anywho. So, but back to music, because I was brought up Baptist, and you talk about being in the Bible Belt. I mean, we're not that far apart as far as the religion thing. I don't think is being up here in Michigan, because we have, the Baptist down y'all's way is kind of different than it is up here. But still, when I grew up, my dad was rather strict about the music end. There was no dancing. There was no shaking your ass. You weren't calling your doll a baby in any fucking way. And, there was just no music unless it was approved, Jesus loves me or whatever it was. But my mom, being a creative that she was, and nature was her church. And I don't know, and I still don't know to this day, but I know that there was a falling out in that Baptist church. I don't know who slept with who. But I know that my mom didn't go to church. My mom went to church, and then my mom didn't go to church. There was that before and after, and that hush of, only that the Christians can do. And, but dancing. So my mom would give me her alarm clock radio and watch, Don't Let Your Dad Catch You. But she would let me listen to music. And I was listening. And for whatever reason, Highway to Hell from AC. I had an older brother that had records that he could listen to, but we weren't allowed to listen to music at our age, or have our ears pierced, or wear nylons, or wear makeup. Everything had a fucking age attached to it. When you get to this, whatever. And so I would sneak that music. I was listening to at a very high volume in my new car, flying down the road. AC/DC Highway to Hell, just laughing my fucking ass off at my dad, and I'm like, I know, I'm like, just the Motley Crue, all the shit but after I felt that, what came up a little bit for me, and I couldn't place it, was shame. Listening to music in secret. My father even took music and attached some sort of shame to it. because the projection of just all his shit, you know, like, oh yeah, that's where it's at on you, Jen, you know, and I'm so glad and grateful that I have that self-awareness, because I can't even imagine y'all that don't. What the fuck do you do with your time? Like, do you have an inner world? Those people that don't have an inner world of any sort, I'm like, I don't know if I'm jealous or I don't know. That blank slate. Like, I guess I want. Maybe I don't have to figure it out. I don't know. Like when I got last night, I just kind of scared myself with the realization. Like maybe you should call John, because I was like, well, maybe the ultimate detachment is suicide. And maybe you can earn your stripes that way, and it's not through a romantic relationship. That it's like, hey, you had enough courage to get the fuck out. You know, you had enough courage to wave the white flag and be like, you know, it's all good. Yes. It's all good.
I can respect that part, but I think that you're so mentally unequipped when you leave here that you're just going to be sucked right back into coming back into this thing, you know.
Yeah, but what would my attachments be? What are my attachments to get sucked right back in?
Yeah, you take these soldiers that go through all the shit they go through. Like, I watched one man, and I mean, it touched me. It really did. Hell, it actually brought tears to my eyes because I knew it was real. He's fucking bawling, but they don't start out bawling. He's telling the story. And, you know, and people can say what they want about, you know, military and the soldiers, but majority of the people in the military, especially, I'm just going to say it, I don't give a damn if you get offended or not, the majority of, not you, but, you know, the listeners, the majority of white people that go into the military are really patriotic. And, you know, you'll have people of the different cultures and different colors say the same thing about them. You know, like, well, that's who I want to be in a foxhole with. Because these fuckers, you know, they'll die for you. So, anyway, he's telling the story about all the shit they did in Iraq. And he just starts bawling because, you know, he's like, I really thought we were the heroes. I thought we was, you know, he's like, and now that I'm waking up, that's what he's talking. He's like, I'm realizing, I was terrible. And the things I did, you know, just, I can see why they kill themselves, because God, you know, the shit they see, the shit they have to do, you know, and so then you just don't, you don't feel anymore. You just want to check out. I think that'll just bring you right back, though.
Here's
the way
the
this
thing.
construct is set up, I believe that's just like candy. I believe that'd be candy for this damn demiurge consciousness.
Yeah, I think
and just suck you right back into here. And that's the same way with you. Even though your consciousness, even though you're in consciousness, when you leave here, if you wish to check out, you know what? I just don't know. I don't know, Jen.
You know, I think that's fair, John. I think that's fair because right away, you know, my little entities are talking to me right now. Right away, I am feeling this overwhelming feeling of PTSD, and it's not, and I am not in any way taking away from our servicemen in any way, because I can't even imagine. Yeah, I am not. But I can totally identify with that type of everyday survival mode. But here's the thing with
that's what I'm saying.
And here's no, I know I can identify with that part. The part, and I love to talk to men that have been in the military, because number one, their energy is of, wow, I did all this. And this dates back, and I can remember my girlfriend at the time, Wendy, she was my best friend at the time. Well, we're not friends anymore, and it's a whole separate podcast. But her dad was a Vietnam vet who slept with his eyes open. And he had very, you know, peculiar quirks and stuff. He had the best pot ever.
Yeah.
But energetically, and this is when I didn't even, and, you know, I still haven't harnessed my gift, but didn't understand why I was feeling certain things or seeing certain things in his presence, you know, because it was weird to see a man sleeping with his eyes open, and certain things, the way he put his socks on, and certain ways that he tied his boots. Energetically, I seen things as I was observing him in real life. And I was there when he died, and I was there when he died. And the day before, everybody thought he had been cured because you would have never known the man was sick. And then he went to bed and then he didn't wake up. But can you imagine? I can't. Fighting, and you're in that, you have the mentality of a patriot, and you've got the brotherhood, and you have learned some very valuable, very, very life survival skills in those foxholes in a country that, and you don't even speak their language or any of the things. And then don't even get me started about the women that were there, helping the wounded, that people would say there was no women in Vietnam. Yeah, there was. But reading that energy of utter despair that nobody, number one, can understand. Number two, what they had to do. And number three, when they come back, people were mad that they were there. And no respect whatsoever. None. And,
baby killer.
Yeah. And I think in a modernized way, even if they didn't see any action anywhere, the servicemen now, they did their 4 years to get free college or whatever the case may be. It's just, I get that programming wholeheartedly. And then at the same time, the soldier thing, that energy and what's attached to that is icky.
They just want to get. They want to They've been through so much and the PTSD so long that they just want to check out.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I get that. Hell, but
none of us. I mean, until you've no different. You'll never know.
Fortunately, I haven't wanted to just end it all for a long, long time. Whenever I lost my wife, I had thoughts of just wanting to damn do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the gun out, the whole nine, but I never did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful that I didn't now, because I would be right back into this.
I get it, John. You've talked me down. I get it. But here's the thing.
And I get it. That. I know that in my heart. I can feel it. If I was to check out on my own terms, and that's what I was going to say when I just said, you know what, I don't know, because, see, I feel like that I can control that. I feel like I'm going to leave when I get ready to leave. I do. Unless somebody, pops me in the head or whatever.
Right.
I believe I control it. And I really do. I really think I can condition myself. When I want to leave, I believe I'll die whenever I'm ready. And that could just be foolish of me to think that, but I understand the power of, I understand metaphysics, or what I say I understand. I get it. I know that we're some powerful, we're gods, and I have no doubt that we are gods, but we have a muzzle, and this muzzle is this duality. And we're learning, we're tapping back into our God self. And I think if we have the consciousness of knowing who we are, whenever our time comes to cross over, see, I don't think there's a gatekeeper around that can stop you. I believe you can bust right through those gates. I believe you can say, fuck you, and everything else, and go and do your thing.
You mean if you took it to the finish line?
Make your universe.
You mean if you took it to the finish line?
Yes.
Like natural death.
The finish line, you learn, and you never, ever stop questioning. You question everything, and you do that. You see what I'm saying? But I feel like...
Were there any gods in time that committed suicide?
Do what now?
I'm going to research it. Were there any gods that committed suicide out of courage or out of...
That's good, yeah.
I think I should research that.
So you can look at it two ways. You can be like,
I know, because that's duality. That's balance. I know. That's the part.
I don't see it as cowardly. I just see it as somebody that's fucking exhausted. Their soul is fucking exhausted. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So if somebody were to sit me down after the fact and say, so why'd you do it? I'm like, because I was sick of being in this money world.
You're tired, Jen.
Yeah.
We talked about it before, and I was like, Jen, I know that you're tired. You're tired mentally, spiritually, physically. Every aspect of tired that you, and whenever you get tired,
and when you have fun loving soul like myself, we're not supposed to be sustained in this like stress day in and day out. I'm serious, John, when I say I am a cunt hair away from
I know. I get it.
I'm in burnout right now. I don't know what the next thing is, but God bless America, especially if I and here's the thing, and I promise you this, woo-wee, and this is hard. But if I have to walk away from this penniless, oh, you're gonna see me. I have nowhere to go, nowhere, and I hate the fact that my only barrier is money. I fucking hate it. Because I'm talented to the fucking... I don't know how much more... my next step in creativity is going to the Scary Jen that I'm afraid of. And you know she's there.
Yeah.
And I'm more afraid of her than I ever was of my daddy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I fail again, John, I hope I have the self-awareness to know that it's just a stepping stone to a different place. Cause
yeah, but you're not going to fail.
I'm failing right now. I've backed myself into a corner.
Yeah, but there's somebody right now. There's somebody listening to this, Jen, that needs it. There's a woman out there. There's a guy out there that's just about ready to find that tree that you always talk about. Or they're probably
that tree
on
exists.
the tree right now.
It's in a lot of my nature videos. I wait for anybody to notice. There's only one dude that noticed, and he's just a childhood friend that grew up with my brother. He knows that fucking tree.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what, and it's so funny. It's so funny, this tree, and it's so fucking funny. So my grandma Etta, this tree, and obviously I was the fat kid. I was not the one swinging on the swing. This tree that went down into, this fucking sand pit. I was never on the fucking swing, and this is oddly enough the same. And the rope is still there. Half the rope is still there. John, you got to go back and see my reels. The tree is still there, and it's got like this weird fucking burl face on it. It looks like a monster. You just got to see the tree. And it's spray painting because the gangs and the homeless or whatever is up there. So this tree, my sister, because she was the daredevil, the one that my younger sister, and I was always the one trying to talk him down, like, your dad's going to beat you. Or, no, don't do that. We always had to wait, and I always had to wait in anticipation if my mom was going to tell when my dad got home on Saturday, and something she had to tell because she couldn't hide a broken whatever that my brother did. And my sister decides she's going to hop on that swing and just jump off into the little sand pit. And we're, mind you, probably 9, maybe 9 and 10. Me being 10 and she's 9. And she does it. Like all the boys, she does it. But my sister was like that character that cried wolf all the time. She was the biggest fucking faker of all time. Well, she started to cry. And this is a steep-ass hill, John, that I still won't, climb down. Because that loose sand, you got to climb back up. It's, it's a lot of work. And, And so I'll just stare from the tree, down, damn, those boys were dumb. But my sister did it. Well, she broke her ankle. Well, we didn't believe her. So she had to crawl home. And I mean crawl home. And you should have seen, how tattered she was by the time she got there. We were home already for an hour by the time she got home. And then my grandma Etta sent us a nasty card where my sister got a care package of coloring book and crayons and money and a fun little bunny card. We did not get any of that because we were mean and did not help her. We lost John, so that's technology, and that's the end of my story, and it's 11:34, so possibly this is a good place for us to end for the day. Thanks for being here, y'all. Stay tuned for more of Alabama John and I's banter back and forth.